And welcome to the Kentucky Derby edition of And They're Off. We have Steve Haskin, we have Sunshine, we have the world on a string.
And we have the Twin Spires right there.
And a song in our hearts. The sales pitch from program vendors at the ballpark is always, you can't tell the players without a scorecard. And that is certainly true for this 136th edition of the Kentucky Derby. In the past few days, Escondrea out, Rule out, Interactif out, Endorsement out, Devil May Care in, Jackson Bend in, Back Talk in, Make Music For Me in. You got that?
No, try it. Can I say it again?
Beer here, program scorecards. All right, Steve and I have just come from the most interesting Derby post position draw. Steve, who moves up, who drops down? How did they draw?
They drew very interestingly. Yeah, right. Well, as everybody knows by now, Looking at Lucky, the overnight favorite, drew post one. I should say the dreaded post one, the post that nobody wants. And on the far outside, the second post nobody wants is the second choice, Sidney's Candy. And what's ironic about it is that this is the first year they went back to the regular pill draw.
Right.
So if this was last year or the year before or the year before or the year before, Bob Baffert and Mike Pegram getting the number one choice, not the number one post position. Right. So they get the choice of the choice of their own post position. And Sidney's Candy, who drew post 20, would have gotten selection process 20 and would have wound up in post 1.
Or post 20, yeah.
Well, nobody wants the 1.
Well, we should say that Mike Pegram, after the draw, was very upbeat, wasn't going to cry or give in to anything.
He has to be.
You know, he says he's got the best jockey on his horse. That's what they're paid for. He's got confidence in his horse, and nobody's crying for them, and they're not going to cry for themselves, so I give them credit.
No, look, they're here with the Kentucky Derby favorite. This is not a death knell where all of a sudden he cannot win the race. You know, number one post position is still the number one post position as far as number of Derby wins. And I've seen many a Derby winner like Fusaichi Pegasus and plenty of others who got a dream trip along the rail. Nobody was near them. It could happen again, it could not. But listen, it's in the hands of you-know-who.
Yes, the Derby gods. Quickly, Steve, the speed horses. How did they draw, and what does that do for the pace?
Well, as we said, Sidney's Candy drew the outside, and he's going to have to outrun now a good 4 or 5 horses, at least 4 or 5 horses, if he wants to get good position. Or he can just take back, and maybe it'll be the best thing for him. Maybe he'll take back, be able to work his way in, and be in mid-pack if he can win that way. But okay, we got Line of David, who looks like the pure speed, and he's in post 5. Yeah. So that's a very good post position for him because he's going to have to go to the front. We've also got Conveyance, the second fastest horse in the race. He's in post 12. That's a good post position for him. In between them is American Lion. He probably doesn't have the speed to keep up with them, so he'll take back a little. Noble's Promise is in 3. He's going to be in the hunt. And then after that, you've got Jackson Bend in 13, Discreetly Mine in 15. He won't be able to keep up. He's in danger of being hung wide too unless they change tactics on him. So that's basically where it is. Sidney's Candy is going to have to either outrun those second-tier horses and try and tuck in behind the first 2, or just say, you know what, let's just play it by ear, and even if we're 10th or 11th, let's just, play the cards we're dealt.
Very interesting draw. Really not what anybody expected. Wayne Lukas and Bob Baffert are not only 2 of the most dominant trainers in the sport over the past several decades, they are 2 of the most dominant trainers in Kentucky Derby history. Wayne's 4 Derby victories trail only Ben Jones' 6. Baffert is right behind Wayne with 3 of his own. Realizing the tremendous influence of this show, Steve, both Hall of Famers.
Both of them. We got both.
Agreed to talk about one another.
Together.
Yes. Earlier today, let's roll that tape, stable boy, of Wayne Lukas and Bob Baffert. We have with us 2 former quarter horse trainers who are now plying their trade in thoroughbreds. You may have heard of them. There's 7 Kentucky Derby winners between them. D. Wayne Lukas and Bob Baffert, welcome to And They're Off.
This is our off. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Now you 2 got off to a bit of a rocky start with each other back in the 90s, yet you seem on friendly terms. What has changed through the years in your relationship with each other?
Did we have a rocky start? I don't remember having a rocky start.
There was a time I couldn't stand you. But Actually, we knew each other from the quarter horse days, and we got in here. We got our competitive fire. We got going together, and then I think probably '96 it was a little rocky. Had a lot of horses, and I didn't know. I got sort of sideswiped by some reporters. They interviewed me about Wayne. I said some funny things, but they sort of made it like I was taking shots at him. So I remember him getting upset with me, and I think if Kevin here would have held on, he probably would have jumped off the Twin Spire roof or something like that. But it was heck. That's the only time it was sort of hectic. But we've always been very competitive with each other. But now that we're getting older and wiser, and well, he was much older than me anyway. But I think we enjoy it more.
Wayne, when Grindstone beat Cavalier by that half a nose, did you even know who Bob was?
Oh yeah, no, Bob had a really good, strong career in the quarter horse business. I was well aware of him coming up, and of course he was at Santa Anita prior to that with a barn right there by the stable gate. So I was very aware of him and aware of his talents too. I didn't think it was going to be very long before he was going to grow in this business, much like we had.
But you know what? I was a big fan of Wayne's. Like when he won the Derby, I always rooted for him. When he left the quarter horse, he was like, he was our guy, in the quarter horse business. So, and I was still wearing a hat then, and so, but I mean, Wayne's always been an icon in the quarter horse business. Everywhere he went, he revolutionized the quarter horse business. Came to the thoroughbred, did the same thing. He's always been he cleared the trail for guys like me and other quarter horse guys that came over. We probably wouldn't have had, maybe if he hadn't come over, I'd still be training quarter horses. He came over, he made that cross, which was huge. So sometimes maybe if he'd would have never done it, I'd still be down there with my night job.
Didn't you try to get a job with him and he sort of turned you down?
Yeah, you know what? Thank God. You know what? In fact, I just graduated from high school, and I wanted to go to work for him. He was the big guy galloping horses for him. And I remember calling him up, and I had this little speech. I wrote it down because I was so nervous. And I called him up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll never forget that. He's at Bay Meadows, and I said, Mr. Lucas, my name is Bob Baffert. You don't know me. I'm a jockey. I have a jockey club, but I'd like to come to work for you. And this and that. And he said, he was so nice to me. He said, Bob, man, I just hired somebody 2 weeks ago, and man, you would have been perfect for the job. Oh, he made me feel so. When I hung up, man, what a great guy. And now that I know him, he's probably, But I'm glad I didn't go to work for him because he started what time?
4.
4. I wouldn't have lasted a week. I wouldn't have lasted a week with him, and he'd be telling me, oh yeah, he worked for me. He didn't last a week for it, so it worked out. I didn't work for anybody. So, but I would have loved to have gone to work for Wayne.
And both of you have big horses here coming up in the Derby Saturday. Wayne, 4 Derby wins, second only to Ben Jones' 6. How much would this mean to you?
Ben Jones took 2 guys to do that, didn't he? Didn't we have to?
Right, Ben and Jimmy.
They had to keep transferring them back and forth. What do you think about that, Bob?
That's when they used to have 8-horse fields and stuff like that. Come on.
6 head, and they have 3 of them.
Exactly.
You're a history buff. How much would it mean to you to get close to and then get on even terms with him, and who knows where?
I don't think about that stuff. Not at all. You guys remind me of it once a year here, but that doesn't mean much to me. I'll tell you an interesting statistic. I was telling some guys earlier today. The major networks, if you win the Derby, we've got 13 Triple Crown wins. If you win any of the Preakness, Belmont, or Derby, as you well know, you get the tape. They send you the complete tape of the 2-hour telecast. I've got all 13 of them on a shelf at home and have never broken the cellophane on them. I've never plugged one in and even looked at it. After the fact, I'm not worried about it. Let's get on to the Preakness or the Belmont. And I think we're a lot like that in that area. I have never even sat down on a rainy day and said, I wonder what the hell the 1995 Derby looked like telecast. Never looked at one.
I watched it for about a week. They're all on YouTube now, so it doesn't matter. They're there.
Well, if you win Saturday, Bob, you tie Wayne, what would that mean for you?
Well, wait a minute here. If I win, I'm going to be 2 up.
That's right. That's right.
You know what? I don't think about that, about how many have won. I just, just to get back here and you get your clients, back here and you have a legitimate chance to win it. I think it's exciting for us. This is what we do. Our whole program is 2-year-olds, young horses, and it helps you get more business. There's always those owners out there, they don't know where to send their 2-year-olds to. So it's like a coach, it's like a college coach. You win the championship, you're going to get those younger players want to come play for you.
Now, Wayne had the aviator shades going in the 80s. Did you steal the sunglasses thing from Wayne?
No, I had the aviators.
You had aviators, too.
I had the Ray-Bans, and they were way too big for my face.
You know, if it wasn't for that nose with Cavanier, he'd be trying to catch you.
Really?
Well, you know, I cost him a Derby though, because he ran second to War Emblem. If I hadn't bought War Emblem, he would have won that Derby. So we sort of cost each other a Derby.
Exactly. He could have. That could have gone either way. I wasn't even so sure when they hit the wire with Grindstone and Cavanier. I wasn't too sure. I turned to Bill Young and I said, I think we might have got up, but I'm not sure. And I went down through the box seat section. It was about 50-50. People were saying, boy, you lost a heartbreaker. And then another guy would go a little further. He said, damn, you won a close one, you know. But when I got down to the tunnel, I was feeling kind of down because I thought, damn, how could you get that close and not get it? And I walked out and looked at the tote board, and the number wasn't up there yet. So when it went up...
That was a 6-minute photo.
Yeah, Bob thinks they fixed it.
I think they flipped it. Who's going to give it to? We're going to give it to the Kentucky boy or the California gelding, you know? It's like somebody just kicked me in the knee. And so...
It's that tire.
Yeah. So, and then when they put the number up, I go, oh my God, I got beat. How could... It was snatched. That agony of defeat on ABC Sports. Hey, they should show a picture of me on there, not the guy falling off. And so when that happened, it was like, the first thing I thought, at least, you know, for about 6 minutes, I knew what it felt like to win the Derby. So I thought, well, maybe that's good enough, you know, because most trainers don't get that close. And that's the way I'm going to handle it. But then that night, it really hit me that, you know what, I was so depressed. Matter of fact, I came back a year later, and I went in the Derby Museum, and I watched it. And I came out of there, it made me feel horrible. I hated that. I hated it. And I was walking back to the barn and said, I have to win this thing. I have to win this thing. And then when I won it with Silver Charm, and we went back to watch it, I like, oh, this is a great show. I loved it. You know, I didn't mind watching it.
You wanted to close the museum.
Yeah.
Well, we were in there when you were watching after Silver Charm. I remember as soon as it was over, you said, you know what, last year's doesn't bother me that much anymore.
Yeah.
One last
question.
question.
What I didn't like about it, we both trained for Bob and Beverly Lewis, and we were close. Bob was close with the Lewis family, and so was I. And it always disappointed me that he won the Derby for him before I did.
Yeah.
But Bob Lewis, I think he liked keeping us. He liked those sparks. He liked that competitive spark, like, Robert, like, Wayne, you got another Derby. You know, but it was, you know, he was a great, I mean, I see those signs, I see Bob Lewis's name, and everybody. He was just such a great owner, and, you know, really good guy. And, you know, he wins it twice, you know. And here, like a guy like Mike Pegram, he's in a position to maybe win it twice, you know. So you never know what, you know, it's so hard to get here. We know, we've always said, hey, if we ever owned one ourselves, we're selling that horse a week before. We're not going to, you know.
I want to go through life and just have the Derby favorite on April 1st. And he's on the block, boys. You can all buy him.
I'm going to lead him up to Keelan, and we're going to sell that son.
We'll just lead him in there and let everybody else try it.
Last question. Handicap each other's horses for Saturday.
Well, right off the top, you got to like his horse better than mine because he's done so much more and accomplished so much more. And I have great respect for Bob as a trainer. I really feel that he's the horse to beat in my heart. For a number of reasons. Number one, what he's accomplished. He's 2-year-old champion. He's back in form. I think he looks better, Bob, here than he did when you brought him to Hot Springs. And that coupled with, you know, my respect for Bob and the fact that you got a world-class rider on him, those are huge things in a 20-horse field going in here. I think my horse is much better than a lot of people think. I think that the experience factor on our camp is going to show up too. The fact that, you know, I've been able to get one there before. So I really think that we got to run by him.
Another exacta.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Another exacta.
Except for the run-by part.
D. Wayne Lucas, Bob Baffert, thanks a lot. Great 7 between you. Coming to Saturday, maybe one more, maybe a dead heat, maybe there'll be 2 more. But good luck to everybody.
I'll split it with him.
There you go.
All right.
You know, if I can't win it, I want Bob to win it, or Todd. I mean, you have a great relationship with Todd over there, but it would be good to get it 4-4. And then
It'd be good.
And then we could have a rubber match and we'll get another interview.
Steve, Churchill Downs did away with the chief party officer this year.
I'm crushed.
We recognize that fact. Nobody else probably did, but
We were as close to the party officer as anyone.
but along those lines, another story comes along that is just too bizarre to ignore. The Kentucky Derby Museum here at Churchill Downs, which honors all the great moments in Derby history, currently has on display a Derby dress and a party gown worn by Anna Nicole Smith. Now,
Wow.
Anna Nicole Smith is well known for various things, none of them good. But as a D-list celebrity, she's pretty typical of the carny folk who attend the Derby. I know what you viewers are thinking. What if I can't get to the Derby Museum in time to view this must-see display?
It'll be on Geraldo Rivera.
Don't worry, we have a roster of the future exhibits coming up at the Derby Museum. If you cannot make the Anna Nicole Smith display in June, the Derby Museum will have on display Kid Rock's t-shirt and hat. Exclusive.
Drum roll.
Exclusive. In July, the museum features a full-length replica of Travis Tritt's mullet. You don't want to miss that one. In August, Steve, you can view Hugh Hefner's prescription Viagra bottle here at the Derby Museum. And in September, an interactive exhibit that will allow you to smear Smokey Robinson's hair gel all over your head. All of that coming up here at the Derby Museum. Do not miss any of them,
I
folks.
just want everybody to know, by the way, that I have nothing to do with this, as you can see. I'm just standing here and letting him make a fool of himself.
You're a huge Anna Nicole Smith fan. We both know that.
Yes, I would not watch Greta Van Susteren for the 8 weeks that she led with that story.
And she's still dead. Okay. Now is the time we have all been waiting for. It's time for our Kentucky Derby picks. Steve Haskin, one horse. Who is going to win the Kentucky Derby? One horse. One horse.
No, seriously.
One horse.
You want to rephrase that?
One horse.
Can I say, Lookin
It's never
look,
gonna happen.
Lookin at Lucky is my pick, even with the one post. But Bob Baffert said I am not allowed to pick the horse.
Okay.
So
All right.
I'm looking at the filly Devil May Care. That's a very strong pick. But I have to mention some long shots here. I love Patio Prado, I love Super Saver, and I love Mission Impossible. All three big prices. You want any more? I got a few more if you want.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Sloppy Track, by the way, Stately Victor. Can I add that? Sloppy Track pick?
No, you can't.
I just did.
Bob Baffert has not admonished me. I am going to pick Lookin at Lucky. Bob seems very relaxed and very confident. I don't care about the post. 3-1, I think, would be a gift, quite frankly. I think that's fair enough, but that's fair on the win end. Mission Impossible, I like him. I do like the filly. I wouldn't leave her out of the exotics. But Steve, the bottom line is
Same name.
you don't care. They don't care about my pick. They don't care about your pick.
But
the viewers want to know the sizzling hot stable boy killed the Keeneland meet. He moves cross state to Churchill. Stable boy, who you got in the Derby?
I'm going to go with Super Saver. I wanted to pick a horse that Steve didn't, but it's hard not to.
And what's your reasoning on Super Saver?
I like the Calvin Burrell angle.
that's a novelty.
Todd Pletcher had the Super Saver hat on, so.
There you go.
You know, I happen to
That
think
was
the
on-
hat is a curse.
That
by
was
the way.
on the Thorograph numbers, by the way. On the Thorograph numbers, it said that he was wearing that hat. So that's a big
Okay,
plus.
a hat to me is a total turn-on. I think that's a curse. I think anybody who wears the hat with the horse's name on it is in trouble. But anyway,
I'm proud to share the same horse as Stable Boy. I'm proud.
well, you share all of the horses. It doesn't matter. All right. Thank you, Stable Boy. Thank you to our viewers. Thanks to our sponsor, Darby Dan Farm. As the ambulance goes by, hopefully for none of us. Steve, thanks for being here. Everybody have a great Derby. We'll see you May 12th with our Preakness show. So long for now. Have a great Derby, everybody.
Have fun. Enjoy the race.